So in class tonight, we were studying in Exodus where God has given the instructions on how to deal with neighbors and how to deal with God and all that to be good, godly people. Good, I wouldn't say Christians, but good, righteous people living in as God's people. So I come across a verse down here that is pretty strict, and I know the old law don't apply to us today, but the strictness of it, you have to think about this in a way that a lot of times that we don't even think about today, because it just happens and we go on and we just do it. But it was something that God said, don't do this. And it's found in Exodus 23, and we were just talking about it in class tonight. And in verse 13, it says, "Now concerning everything which I've said unto you, be on your guard." It says, "Do not mention the name of other gods, nor let them be heard from your mouth." You know, we do a lot of things, and we talk about things because of the entertainment industry. You know, we watch movies about this and that and all, and one of the movies that are real popular are dealing or having to do with some of the Greek gods, and the movie portrays them as real, you know, in real life with powers and such. You know, and we watch that as entertainment, and we think, I know I don't believe it, you know, it's not true, but we get entertainment out of it. And I often wonder, I thought, what does God think about some of the things that we look at as entertainment, and we know it's not real, but when we look at the old scriptures and the old law, we find things that are directly commanded against doing that. This verse here, it says, "Do not mention the name of other gods." And we were talking about some of the Greek gods that they write stories about and make movies about. And we could name them all here. But God says, do not even mention their name. And understand that back then, there was a big problem of idol worship. People worshipped idols and claimed that these were the gods that causes it to rain or not rain, and the gods of various and different things, especially the Egyptians, which the children of Israel just come out of the land of the Egyptians, and I'm sure they seen all the gods that the Egyptians worshipped, from the sun god and the water, and you could mention a number of them. And them people seeing the Egyptians worshiping these things, now God is telling them, you're not to even talk about that anymore. Knowing that with the influence that the Egyptians had, what bearing it would be on his people. And we know that for a fact because in a few chapters later, Aaron's going to make a golden calf, and they're all going to bow down and worship that golden calf. And they're going to claim this is the God that brought you out of the land of Egypt. So see how serious God is about that, and how he already knows ahead of time that what's going to happen. I mean, he's preparing them that you're not to think about that kind of stuff. You're not to even talk about that kind of stuff, because I know what a downfall or a stumbling block it's going to be to you. So I just don't know how casually we talk about things that are spoken of in the Bible about evil. And the things that we watch as entertainment in the movies that God frowns upon, because back earlier in this chapter, it's talking about a sorcerer. You know, and we watch movies about witches and such with magical powers and able to do this and that and all the other things that they do, and we talk about that as entertainment. Well, we know it's not real, but what's God's opinion of us when we enjoy that as entertainment, knowing it's not real? What would you imagine God's opinion of that is? Does he think that's a sinful thing? Or is it okay in the name of entertainment? So you'll have to make your own choice on that, because I can't say what God thinks about such things as that. But it's something to think about, don't you think? Some of the things that we enjoy as entertainment, is that what a Christian is supposed to enjoy? And we just need to be aware a lot of times as we view things and watch things and we consider all the stuff that's going around us, and you're in the world and you have to be here and it's going to be around you, but how hard it is not to think about these things, and talking about mentioning these gods. They've been exposed to that all these years. How hard is it to get that stuff back out of your head when it's in there? It's tough. But just to be a more godlike person, how and what are we supposed to think about? And all these other things that are really just distractions from living a Christian life, how often they pop into your head. You think about everything, don't you? I do. I think about all kinds of stuff all the time. And there's never a time that my mind ain't thinking about something, And that's the way we're built. Even when you go to bed and think you'd be sleeping and resting, your mind is still working because it's full of dreams, and sometimes it's the craziest stuff that you can ever imagine. But your mind is always working. And it's so important to put good, godly things into your mind, because it seems like the evil things pop in there, and then it's so extremely hard not to think about the evil things. Do y'all find that the case? You can't not remember things anymore, but you try to not remember. You can't forget some of the images you've seen, especially terrible images. If you've seen something in your life that you can't get those images out anymore. It's tough. And so be careful what you watch. Be careful what you expose yourself to, because you can't unsee things once you've seen them. So that was just some thoughts that I was having tonight, especially when we were reading through some of these scriptures, and how we need to be aware of what we think about, and how God is still concerned of the things that we think about, and the things we talk about, and the things we say. Just have to be careful of that. So that's my thoughts tonight. If anybody has anything that they need help with, anything they're struggling with, you can bring it before the church. Bring it forth. We will pray with you and for you, and do our best to help you along in your Christian walk. So do so as we stand and sing this song, right? I'll go